All right, so your questions here kind of fall into two categories. Category one is how do I graph a piecewise defined function? And then category two is how do I write the equation? So let's talk about graphing first. If I asked you to graph minus x minus 5, you should recognize that that's a line. It has a slope of -1 and a y-intercept of -5. What I'm going to do here, because this is the interesting point where the graph splits, I'm going to take -4 and I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to use that as my starting point. If I plug -4 in, I get -4, that's 4. 4 minus 5 is -1. So I'm going to start drawing a line, and I'm going to start at -4, -1, right there. And then I can think of that this has slope -1, so I know the line's going to be in this direction, downhill like this. So a slope of -1, I could think of that as starting here, going left 1, up 1. So I draw that line. Next, I notice that this has an equal to sign on it. So at x equals -4, I want a dot. So I come down here, and I add a dot. So there's the first part. And then I'm going to go back to my line tool. To graph this second part, again, I would begin by plugging in -4. -4 plus 4 is 0, so I've got -4, 0. And then again, I notice this has a slope of 1. So from -4, 0, I would go up 1 and over 1 and draw that second part of the line. And then I notice that this has a greater than, so I should have a circle right there. So I come down here and I put a circle. And that's what that graph should look like. Now it asks for the domain. Domain is the x numbers that we can use. In this case, notice we're using all the numbers less than or equal to -4. And here we're using all the x numbers greater than -4. So basically we're using all the numbers. So we would say our domain goes from negative infinity to infinity. The range, on the other hand, is the y values. We notice the smallest y value is right here at -1, and then the graph goes up forever. It goes kind of up on both sides. So our range would be, lowest y value was -1, and it goes up forever, so it goes up to infinity. So that's what that problem would look like. All right, now let's scroll down. So that one's another graphing one. Another graphing one. This was one of your ones. What they're asking for here, they're asking you to write the function. So this function is split into 3 parts. You got this little line segment, this little line segment, this little line segment. So this one is when we're up here at 5. So we're up here at 5 when x starts at -6, and it could be equal to -6, and it ends when x equals -2. So we would enter that as -6, -2 is I think the way they want us to write the answer here. I can check the key, you can't. Let's check. Yeah, that's exactly the way they want it written. This next one starts at -2 but does not include -2, and it ends at 1. So this one we would put a round bracket at -2 because we don't want to include it, and we want to end at 1, so we put a square bracket. And then same thing with this one down here. This one starts at 1, but we do not want to include 1 because of the circle. So round bracket, 1 comma, ends at 4. 4 gets a square bracket because it has a dot. Alright, so that's what they're looking for on that one. And then another good one that you had was this one. Shipping company has a shipping rate that are a function of weight. For packages weighing less than or equal to 2 pounds, they charge 75 cents per pound, plus there's a flat fee of $2.50 for all deliveries and an additional fee of $6 for all deliveries weighing more than 20 pounds. So what that tells me here is the charge is 75 cents per pound, where X is the number of pounds, and then there's a flat fee on top of that of $2.50. And that happens as long as the package weighs less than or equal to 2 pounds. So I would say that that would go, I'm going to check the answer to see if this is what they want. This is what makes sense to me. The package has to weigh more than 0 pounds, but less than or equal to 2 pounds. All right, they're putting a square bracket there, which doesn't make sense to me really, because if you have a package of 0 pounds, you're not shipping anything. On the other hand, for packages between 2 and 20, so that's what they're telling you here, for packages between 2 and 20, between 2 and 20, it doesn't say equal to 2 and 20, so I think we want that. They charge $2 per pound, so that's going to be 2x, plus we still have the $2.50 flat rate. And then finally, if it's more than 20 pounds, but it has to be less than 76, so that would look like that, between 20 and 76. Here they charge an extra $6, so it's $2.75 per pound, but there's an additional fee of $6 above this $2.50. So that means it's going to be $2.75 per pound plus $2.50 plus 6 would be $8.50. And we already checked at that part, 20 to 76. Okay, so that's what that one would look like. So you put your domain pieces over here, the between 0 and 2 pounds, between 2 and 20 pounds, and then you put your formula over here on the left-hand side. Hope that helps.